Joined by Captain Laura Einsettler, a commercial airline pilot who has flown 737-800s. Thank you so much, Captain, for joining us. Now, in order for this plane to have taken that nosedive from that video that we've all seen now, apparently there's a jack screw on the tail that had to be adjusted. Can you talk about that?
Well, so the jack screw is a critical part of the elevator assembly system in the tail, and that's something that they're definitely going to be looking at as a potential cause for the flight control possible malfunction. One of the things that's so unusual here is that you just don't have going from cruise to an extreme descent like that.
Will the flight recorder tell us who was responsible for adjusting that?
Well, the flight recorder is something that's already on the aircraft, just like the voice recorder. So it collects all of the data and information from the aircraft itself and what kind of state it was in. So something that they're going to be really looking at is the extreme nature of the descent. I mean, nearly descending over 20,000 feet per minute is just something you just don't see and is highly unusual.
Highly unusual, highly frightening, just to think about those passengers' final moments. Immediately upon seeing this, there are a lot of people who thought this was a suicide mission. Do you have any thoughts about what could have happened, even though we're still waiting for official word?
Well, once they get the voice recorder and the flight data recorder, and we hope that it can be salvaged so that the investigators can do their job to understand and figure out exactly what it was that happened. It is something that they will be looking at, and that's why it's so critical to have two pilots at the controls that are highly experienced, well-trained, vetted, and skilled to keep everybody on board safe.
Do we happen to know if there were not two pilots on board that day?
Well, it's something that, if one pilot transitions to the lavatory, let's say, normally we would have another crew member rotate up into the cockpit. So there's always two people inside. And that came about because of some of the regulations after 9/11. So you want to always have these highly experienced professionals at the controls.
We've also heard that there's some speculation that there was an autopilot malfunction. What's your theory?
That's a possible theory as well. It's the 737-800. It's an incredible aircraft. It's very safe. So it definitely is going to be interesting to see what the outcome of this situation is.
Did you check in on the weather that day? Can you tell us anything about that?
I did. That was the first thing that I considered, because especially if the flight's starting off in cruise and then is in this highly unusual state. So sometimes you want to look at things like thunderstorms, some more severe weather. If you fly into severe weather, obviously that's not something we normally do. You want to avoid that. But every now and again, sometimes the weather can catch up to the aircraft. But I think from my understanding that the weather was in pretty good condition in cruise for this flight.
Yeah, there was no weather to speak of that would have been,
right,
a contributing factor in this crash. Thank you so much, Captain, for joining us. Still ahead, a suspicious